This really is a very, very special place. You know, there are a few halls, a few spaces that you go into that are, you feel magic and you know it the minute you come into the space. This is one of them. Jazz is a discipline. It's beyond a genre. It's a discipline, it's a way of life. And our intention was to revisit the spirit of Billie Holiday, to celebrate the spirit of Billie Holiday. And that means you don't have to imitate her, just be yourself. And that's what we were doing. I think she started that whole style of singing that was very conversational and very in tune with what the musicians were doing. She was very close to the musicians. You know, singers tend to be a separate breed, but Billie Holiday hung out with musicians. They all adored her, and she had a very special way of communicating with them. Because I consider myself to be in that lineage of singers that are jazz singers that pinpoint the emotional content of the song and pinpoint the the emotional depth of pieces. She's a great musician, yes, but what's more important to her is to reach into your heart and to tell you a story. So it was time for me to do it. Anybody who sings a song like Strange Fruit in 1939 is a rebel with a cause. She was very controversial. I think she was the very first rock star, you know, because she was living that kind of a life. And she didn't care what people thought about her. You know, she did herself. She was Billie all the time. When she went on stage, she was Billie Holiday. And no regrets, no compromises. I think that it's very important to have the music and to know what you're doing musically as a vocalist. You have to be able to communicate with the musicians. But once that's done, once you've got that under your belt, what are you going to say to the heart? Because music is always about the heart. And it's about healing the heart. It's about communicating ideas through the heart, not the head. I have this theory about her, the sound of her voice. Then at that point, you know, the music that we listened to in the 50s, 40s was coming from out of the gramophone. So it was not even stereo then. It's not until like I don't know, mid 50s when they started to do the hi-fi technology where they had the stereo stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think she was listening to music in a certain way, and it did sound like a horn section that was funneled through a horn. You know, my mother listened to country music. She used to love, oh God, what's his name? Down in the West Texas town of El Paso, Marty Robbins. Mm-hmm. She loved Marty Robbins and she loved Hank Williams. And she also loved Motown. And my father was a jazz musician. So I heard all of this music. And on the radio at that time in the 70s, FM radio was a much broader spectrum of music. So that's all in there. That's all in my head. And I refuse to let it go. That's me. That's who I am. I've been very fortunate in my life. They come to me. You know, I've been introduced to some of the greatest musicians in the world, I think, and they share the stage with me, and I give them space to be themselves. You know, I'm not the kind of singer who has to sing all the time, or it's not always about me, it's about us. And that's the beauty of what we do. The music is created by a group, not just one person. It has to be a group of people, and they're very special. Kevin Bright, our Canadian, our Canadians are Kevin Bright and Davide Dorenzo. Kevin's been with me a long time, since New Moon Daughter. And Lonnie Plaxico has been with me longer than that. He goes back to the days of M-Bass and Blue Skies. And Charlie Burnham was on Blue Light Till Dawn. He's the violinist. Davide plays drums, I said that. And Young Robbie. Young Robbie Marshall is the new find. He's the latest. He's the youngest, and he's an amazing saxophonist. He plays clarinets and he plays flutes. And the one that's really dear to my heart is John Coward. He brings a very special elegance to the piano that he plays the keyboards.